Looking at what, exactly, I wondered. Heads ducked low, hands on hips. There was one man with his hands folded behind his head. Another was a woman, covering her mouth and nose. My next thought, a stupid one, was that maybe there was one of those crop circles in Daddy's field. I'd read something about them in Jack's sci-fi magazine, the one with the grainy image of Nessie with her long neck and protruding humps on the cover. I hadn't believed a word of it. As I trained the binoculars on the circle, willing the lens to focus, I realized that most of them were in uniform. Cops. Boring. Suddenly, the man with his hands behind his head pivoted. He turned away from the others, moving, marching. He was headed straight toward my house. No, not the house. Toward Mom and Dad. For the first time, I spotted them, huddled at the edge of the property. My dad, William, and my mother, Sophie. They looked too soft and young to be farmers. And in reality, they weren't. Just two young people trying to have a place to call their own, to carry on a family tradition. For the first time they looked their age, faces grim and tight with worry. Dad's hairy arm was draped over Mom's tiny, narrow shoulders. She was shaking. As the mysterious policeman crossed the field, trotting toward them, I was mesmerized by him. With his thick black hair and chiseled body, he looked scruffy and world-weary, but in a good way, like that actor in Hollywood Detective. He stopped in front of Mom and Dad, hands resting on his waistband, fingers itching his gun like an outlaw from the Wild West. Suddenly he pointed across the field, gesturing wildly. Even behind a sheet of glass, I thought I heard Mom's sorrowful wail, "Oh, no!" There was a gap in the circle now, I realized, pulling my eyes away from the cop and my parents. I zoomed in as far as the binoculars allowed, and for the first time I could see inside the secret circle. I could see what the fuss was about. Knuckles white, I willed my hands not to shake, willed myself not to look away. There was a girl in the center of the circle. Fragile and small, she lay curled up on the ground like one of those pill bugs we called roly-polies. It wasn't natural, the way she was bent, arms and legs sharply curved and folded in, like a clay sculpture you could shape and mold, bend at will. Could it be an alien? Or better yet, a mannequin posed for a prank? Sitting back on my haunches, I took a few deep breaths, then poked my head up again. This time, the crowd had thinned out more, and as I zoomed in again, I saw her completely. For the first time, the lenses were crystal clear. She was real. Human. White skin, pale hair to match. Thin white strands of hair blew around her face like corn silk. Her fingers were curled up by her mouth, nails painted matte black like the night sky. Eyelids open. One gray eye bulged out at me like a grape being squeezed between my thumb and forefinger. The rolling in my stomach was less of a roll and more of a lurch. I was barely on my feet when the vomit came. It sprang from my mouth and nose, and although I tried pathetically to catch it in my hands, there was just too much of it. I puked on my brother's favorite Star Wars blanket and CD tower. Then I curled up on the floor like that thing in the field, trying to erase the image burned onto the back of my eyelids. It's not real. It's not real. Please tell me it's not real. Chapter 2. 3 Truths, 1 Lie. I've lived in the same shitty town for most of my life. A girl named Jenny Juliet was murdered in my own backyard. I'm an aspiring writer who moonlights as a Kmart cashier. Jenny Juliet's killer was never caught. That original image of Jenny's face, moon-white and ominous in the early morning light, those bulgy eyeballs and dead gray